Bluetti Apex 300 is a very different approach to a portable power station. It lacks a lot of basic plugs and ports that you would expect to find on a power station like this, and instead leans on adapters for things like solar input and USBs. It is really competitively priced, and it seems to be built for a very specific person. The question is that person you? So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. As amazing as a lot of these power stations that have come out over the last few years have been, it's actually kind of crazy that we had to wait so long to find such a simplified version. It's even crazier that the simplified version came from Bluetti. As always, we have links and coupon codes in the description for any coupons that we can get out of Bluetti to help you guys save some money. And before we jump into our experience using this thing here at the lab, everything that we found that we actually really liked, and a couple things that we really didn't, we're gonna hit you with a super quick spec teardown in case you're not up to speed with the all-new Apex 300. So first up, this thing passes the tiny baby lift test. It weighs about 85 pounds, which is still pretty heavy. And the battery packs, the expansion batteries that you guys are gonna see us using, weigh about 65 pounds. This unit actually does have a built-in battery. It's not like the old AC300 and AC500 series where this was an inverter and you had to pair it with a battery. Bluetti has finally got to the point where the battery is built directly into this. This standalone unit, without an expansion battery, has a 2,764 watt-hour battery bank, and you can expand it with extra units and batteries up to 58 kilowatt hours, which is quite big. In terms of output on this guy, you have a 3,800 watt inverter. You can get power into this thing with a regular 120 volt house plug in your home. It does have a few extra fast charging methods with some additional cables that you can buy. I believe the fastest this thing has is actually 3,800 watts of supercharging with like a 30 amp cable. So you can power it with AC power from your home, or you can plug solar directly into it. It has two 1,200 watt solar connections. If you want to go bigger than that, you're going to need the Solar X, which we will get into a little bit later. In terms of plugs and ports on this guy, you have 4 regular 120 volt house plugs across the front right here. On this side, you have your 2 solar connections. This is your 2 1,200 watt solar inputs, as well as your battery expansion port. On the other side, you have your regular 120 volt house plug. You have the AC in out port, which basically allows you to have different adapters. And then you also have your 30 amp and 50 amp plugs on the side. We'll get into the ports that it doesn't have here in a minute. In terms of the design, it's very similar to their old AC lineup, the AC300 and 500. There is no wheels, there's no suitcase handle. If you want to move this thing around, you're probably going to want to get some sort of cart for that, but it is a relatively nice look. The screen is very bright and easy to read outside, very crisp and clear and simple to understand. All the buttons and switches are clearly labeled and legible. There's nothing on here where you couldn't just figure it out even if you had no idea what you were doing. And the app is pretty good. It's a little slower than some of the other apps on the market, but it does let you turn things on and off from afar, change a couple settings that you can't do directly from the unit. So that's always nice. And right now, you can get this thing with our discount code and the sale price that looks like it's a pretty like permanent sale price. You can get this thing for about $1,400 using our code, which is actually pretty cheap.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah, good deal, yeah. This is a good deal, yeah. One of the first things that we really like about this unit is that it can do 120 and 240 volts out of one little unit. The old versions of these didn't even have a battery built into them. So the fact that you have this, has a 30 amp and a 50 amp and everything built in here, while it's not really a true 50 amp plug, it's more for hooking up to a transfer switch or something like that. We do really like that you can run 240 directly out of one unit. If you were looking to get a true 50 amp plug, you just scale the output by having multiple actual units. But it's super easy. There's literally a switch on the front and you could change it from 120 to 240 volts. In our testing with the 240 volts running, it will run 120 volt plugs on the front, but it's very finicky because the inverter size at that point is so small that running 240 volts and also continuing to power another load, it's like not even realistic. But it does say even right on the screen 120/240. Whereas when you put it up, it's only 120. We also really like the design. While sticking to their classic look, the screen is very simple and easy to understand. It's very bright and clear. A lot of units sometimes struggle to have clear screens, which is weird. When you walk up to it, even if you don't know what it is, you could figure out how to work it. And that's not the case for a lot of power stations. So we really like just the simplicity that they put into the design of this. And going with that, I normally wouldn't say that I like adapters. Normally, I wish that those things were built into the unit. But in this case, this is such a cheap product that not having USBs on the front, it's not really who it's designed for. But it's cool that they still give you these extras. So you can get things like the DC hub that has a bunch of USB ports on it. It clamps directly onto like a 2x4, the handle of the unit, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And it gives you access to a bunch of USBs and 12-volt options that you don't have on the unit. It also has a 1200 watt solar input, and they sell something called the Solar X. It allows you to do up to 4,000 watts on its own. So you can still run the 2400 watts total on the side of this unit plus 4,000 watts with that Solar X. If you're in a situation where you're really trying to get a lot of solar into this, it's pretty cool that, again, there's an accessory that helps you do that. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of built for their target audience. We also really like that the expansion battery cables that connect this to the battery below it, they're no longer giant elephant dongs. The AC 500s were huge for no reason. These ones have got a much more slimmer, sleeker profile. It just kind of stacks nicely, clips right on. It does make it so that you can't really have your inverter over here and your battery over there, but for the most part, like, why are you a mess?
No,
just stack them.
Keep it nice and organized. It's almost like they watched our second video ever.
Maybe they did. Maybe they did, and they're like, the solar lab said, so we better change it. All the testing we ran this through at the lab performed how we thought it should. The idle consumption was about 20 watts. So basically, if you have just the AC plugs on and you have like a sump pump or something that comes on periodically plugged in, just this unit on, idling with AC power ready, will only consume that much power every 24 hours. So that's roughly 6 days of idle time with this unit, which is actually
incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's incredible.
And the efficiency test was 85%, which is an A. That's a great place to be at. It took about 2.5 hours to fully charge this thing with a regular 120 volt AC charger, assuming you don't have one of the adapters or the upgraded cables. It's about 2.5 hours of charge, and it's also relatively quiet. Even when you're maxing out the load on this thing, it's really not that loud. You wouldn't hate to have it in the same room as you, which is pretty good. A lot of big units are quiet, but a lot of big units are really loud. And the last thing that we really liked is just it's not trying to be anything that it's not. It's designed for basically someone to use it as home backup. Or you could also put it in like an off-grid property, a cabin, something like that. You could have it in a workshop or a shed, but it's not riddled with USBs and phone chargers and things that you don't need because you're not going to use them. It's still portable enough to pick it up and move it around if you need to, but for the most part, it's like a permanent portable solution that they're kind of going after. And it's cool that they really did just maximize its capability and reduce its price instead of filling it with features that it just didn't need. The fact that you can scale it really big too means you could use it for a light home backup with just the unit and one battery, or if you have pretty high needs or you have power outages that last a long time, you could scale this thing with multiple batteries, even multiple units, to kind of fit the needs of your situation.
Whether that's power for a week or power for talking
There could be power for 2 days, it could be power for 2 minutes. Bluetti, though, like a lot of other power station brands, has some misleading information on their website. This unit is listed as up to 30 kilowatts of solar input. I'm just gonna say right now, it's not the case. That's a stretch, if that's what they're saying. On the product page for this unit, it says up to 30 kilowatts of solar input using the Solar X. The Solar X's page says it only does 4,000 watts max, to up to 12,000 with 3 units and 3 Solar X's, which again just keeps putting it at 4,000 watts. So we were trying to figure out, how do you get 30 kilowatt hours? Where did they get this from? And what they told us was, if you have 3 units, all with 2,400 watts of solar going into these ports, all paired with a Solar X, which is basically allows up to 4,000 watts of additional solar into the unit, and you had it plugged in to an existing system. So for example, we have a massive panel stand in the backyard that's feeding a bunch of batteries in the garage. If we tapped in to that inverter in the garage and AC charged it with the super fast 3,800 watt AC charging at the same time, you could get it to 30 kilowatt hours. But that's a stretch because you're using AC. The reality is it's misleading, and you might buy this thinking you could get 30 kilowatts of solar input, and you can't. The truth is you can get 2,400 plus the 4,000 if you buy the Solar X. So you can do 6,400 max.
Which is pretty good.
Which is really fucking good considering the battery size. Usually companies don't even give you enough solar to charge the battery in an hour.
Bluetti, you don't have to lie to be liked.
So there's that. We don't really like that. That's just misleading. And the fact that they even stuck to their guns and tried to prove to us how you do it, it's just not real. This bleeds into the second thing we didn't like. Their support is not good. I called to try to figure out how you get the 30 kilowatt hours. You get sales when you call. So the sales support it's not the best in terms of their product knowledge, but they don't have a support phone number. Do you guys have a phone number I can just call tech support myself?
No, sir. Actually, don't have the contact number.
You actually have to submit a ticket if you want support and wait 24 to 48 hours per response. So if you were to spend your hard-earned money on these products and you have a problem, you're like 48 hours between each response just trying to get to the bottom of it. We don't like that at all. Like, we hate that. You really should be able to pick up the phone and call someone and get help. That's definitely something Bluetti needs to work on, considering that a lot of people see them as a pretty big name in the space. And the final thing that we don't really like with this is that, yes, it's cool that they have expandability features, such as the hub. You can buy the hub, comes with a bunch of USB ports that you can plug into this, but that hub is like $300 and there's like 4 or 5 USBs on it. In our opinion, if you're gonna pay $300 for some USBs, they should riddle the thing with plugs. You should be getting like 20 USB-Cs, 20 USBs, whatever it is. It should just have unlimited amounts of plugs and ports. Like, really should, especially if it's gonna cost 300 bucks. We like the approach they're taking, but it's just a big amount of money for like nothing. So who is this unit for at the end of the day? It's for someone that wants a like permanent yet still remaining portable solution for home backup. Again, whether that's in your home and you have this set up in the garage somewhere where you're not really going to use it, somewhere where maybe you want to go grab it and take it camping for the weekend, but it's going to go back when you're done with it. That is kind of who this is geared towards. It doesn't have all the fancy plugs and features, and it's really competitively priced, and it's honestly pretty good for those people. But that's pretty much all that we have for you guys today. Let us know your thoughts and if this is something that might actually suit your needs. Otherwise, make sure you check out the links in the description down below. If you don't know exactly what you need, we have a quiz down there that you can take. Gives you an instant recommendation based on your needs. Otherwise, make sure you guys are subscribed. We will catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.